Good morning, students. Welcome to our online classes. Students, today in this video, we are going to read about the first chapter, that is Indian economy on the eve of independence, from the book Indian Economic Development. Students, in this chapter, today we are covering the following topics: condition of occupational structure at the time of independence, condition of infrastructure at the time of independence, positive contributions made by British in India, crucial economic challenges before the Indian economy. So these are the topics which we are going to cover in today's video, and these topics are very important from the examination point of view. I appeal to all my viewers to watch this video carefully and listen to the lecture given by or delivered by me. So students, our first topic is occupational structure at the time of independence. That's our first topic. So students, how was the occupational structure during British rule, during colonial rule in our country India? First of all, you should know what is meant by occupational structure. Students, occupational structure refers to the distribution of working population. Occupational structure refers to the distribution of working population across primary, secondary and tertiary sectors of the economy. I repeat, occupational structure refers to the distribution of working population, only working population, the distribution of working population across the three sectors, namely the primary sector, the secondary sector and the tertiary sector in the economy or of the economy. So that is called occupational structure. And if you see the occupational structure of India at the time of British rule or during the time of British rule, it shows very little change in it. And the agricultural sector dominated at the time, or it was found dominating at the time. The agricultural sector accounted for the largest share of workforce. More workforce was engaged in agricultural sector, which is nearly 72.7%. 72.7%. So this sector was dominating in our Indian economy at the time. More workforce is engaged in the primary occupations. Actually, first I'll tell you in primary occupations or primary sector how much workforce is engaged and what are the occupations that comes under primary sector. Similarly, I will tell about the secondary sector, the percentage of workforce engaged in it, and what are the activities that comes under secondary sector. In the same way, the tertiary sector, the percentage of population or the percentage of workforce engaged in that sector, and what are the occupations that comes under this sector. So students, here primary sector, I told you total 72.7% of total workforce of India was engaged in primary sector at the time of independence, at the time of British rule or during British rule. And in this sector, the following occupations are coming, namely agricultural, mining, fishing, forest. See, agriculture, all agricultural laborers will also come. Forest, fisheries, animal husbandry, plantation, mining, all these will come under primary sector. So total workforce 72.7% are engaged in this primary sector in all these different occupations. Similarly, coming to secondary sector, here secondary sector means manufacturing sector, we can say manufacturing sector. In this sector, the total workforce is 10.1%. 10.1% as per 1951 records I'm telling. 10.1% workforce is engaged in this secondary sector. And what are the activities are coming under this one? Small and large scale industries, both are coming. Similarly, all construction, building activities and manufacturing. Construction, building and manufacturing, both small scale and large scale sector industries will come under this sector. Similarly, the third one, that is tertiary sector. In this tertiary sector, the percentage of workforce engaged in this sector was 17.2%. 17.2%. And the following activities or the following occupations are coming under this sector, namely trade and commerce, business, trade and commerce, transport, storage and communication, transport, storage and communication, and also other services. Here other services includes the general administration, the computers, banking, finance, etc., etc. So this shows that more workforce is engaged in primary sector. Actually, students, here at the time in our country India, as per the textbook, okay, parts of Madras Presidency. At the time, provinces were there under colonial rule. So Madras province or Madras Presidency, which covers the present Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and also that Kerala. This province is coming. Along with this one, Bombay and Bengal. So Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Bombay and Bengal witnessed a decline in the dependence of the workforce on the agricultural sector. In all these provinces, in all these areas, there is a decline of workforce in primary sector, with a commensurate increase in the manufacturing. In this area, they turn to manufacturing sector and the service sector also. However, there had been an increase. In the share of workforce in the agriculture sector during the same time in states such as Orissa, Rajasthan and Punjab. That means in these three states, the workforce was increased in agriculture sector, whereas above 5 or 6 places the agriculture force was decreased. Okay. Similarly, here agriculture at the time was the principal source of occupation. Okay. Next one, if you compare our country with other country at that time, that how much workforce is engaged in all these sectors, let us see. Percentage of population dependent on agriculture is much less in advanced countries of the world when compared with India. Our India 72.27%, but when you compare with other countries, the percentage of workforce in agriculture sector is less. Okay. For instance, in England and America, only 2% people are engaged in primary sector. In Japan, 12%. England and America, 2%. Japan, 12%. And Germany, 4% of the population depends upon agriculture. Similarly, this establishes that our Indian economy is backward. Students, one thing you remember, in any country, if more workforce is engaged in primary sector and less in secondary and tertiary sector, that indicates that economy is backward. So since in India, the more workforce is engaged in primary sector, so naturally we can say that our economy was backward. Okay. Similarly, industry, an insignificant source of occupation. On the eve of independence, barely 9.0% of working population in India was engaged in manufacturing industry and mining, etc. As against it, 32% are found in USA, 42% are found in England, and 39% are engaged in Japan. It further proves that how backward our Indian economy was at the time of independence. Now, unbalanced growth. Another important factor, unbalanced growth. The table which is given in the textbook shows that there was an unbalanced growth of Indian economy. Growth is said to be balanced when all the sectors of the economy are equally developed. But in our country, all the sectors are not equally developed. So there was an unbalanced economic growth. However, in case of India, secondary and tertiary sectors were in the infant stage, early stage. Hence, we can conclude that Indian economy at the time of independence was a loop-sided, single-sided, and therefore it was backward. Now moving to next topic, that is infrastructure on the eve of independence. Infrastructure on the eve of independence in our on the eve of independence in India. So students, We can say, first of all, you should know what is meant by infrastructure. What is meant by infrastructure? Infrastructure refers to, I repeat once again, infrastructure refers to the elements. Infrastructure refers to the elements such as economic change, elements that are responsible for what? Economic change. All those elements that are responsible for what? Economic change, such as transport, communication, banking, power, energy, etc. etc. Similarly, elements of social change like education, health, housing, facilities, etc., which serve as a foundation for the growth and development of a country. Similarly, the state of India's infrastructure on the eve of independence, how our infrastructure was on the eve of independence, if you see, with the points you can come to one conclusion. Railways, actual railways were started during British rule. The two, Lord Dalhousie was the Governor General at that time. Okay, 1853 it was started, first railways from Mumbai to Thane, about 34 kilometers rail route they established for their own transport purpose and other convenience. So railways were developed to transport finished goods from Britain to the interior parts of colonial India. Okay, it also aimed at widening the size of market. They want to widen their market for British production in India. Similarly, ports, seaports. Ports are developed to handle raw materials. Ports are developed by the British government to handle the raw materials, okay, to Britain and import finished goods from Britain to India. Similarly, post and telegraphs. This post and telegraphs also started during the time of Lord Dalhousie. Post and telegraphs were also developed to enhance the administrative convenience of the British government. For administrative convenience, they started the postal and telegraph system. Roads were also developed at that time. Roads were developed to facilitate transportation of raw materials from different parts of the country to the seaports. So railways, roads, post and telegraphs, all these were started by the British government to facilitate their administration. Briefly, some modest infrastructural change in economy during the British Raj is not denied. There was a development of some infrastructure at the time, we cannot deny that one. But the motive behind this change is not the growth and development of Indian economy. They developed this infrastructure for their own benefit, but not to develop our Indian economy. So this you should not forget. Rather, it is the growth of development of British economy through the colonial exploitation of the Indian economy. Consequently, Indian economy remained too backward. Okay, now moving to our next one, that is positive contributions made by the British in India. So what are the positive contributions? What are the positive contributions that were made by the British in our country India on the eve of independence? I can say, suppose the question is like this: was there any positive impact? Was there any positive impact of British rule in India? Question mark. Answer: certainly not. Certainly not. If the impact of British rule is studied with reference to motive, their motive is selfish motive. So if you study the British rule impact on the basis of motive of the British government in India, the motive was clear and focused. What? It was colonial exploitation of Indian economy. It was the colonial exploitation of Indian economy. However, the means to achieve the end yielded some positive side effects. But at the same time, their motive, selfish motive, they established. But with that, we got some benefit. We were benefited with their motive. Okay, some side effects were there. These are as under. Number one, commercial outlook of the farmers. They changed the outlook of Indian farmers. Earlier, Indian farmers were growing food crops, but now they made the Indian farmers to grow commercial crops, which benefits more, which earns more income to them. So they changed the mind setup of the Indian farmers. Commercial outlook of the farmers. Forced commercialization. They adopted forced commercialization of agriculture under the British rule. Okay, exposed the subsistence farmers to uncertainties to the market. True, but it is also led to the gradual change in the outlook of the farmers. Though it was done for the selfish motive, but it helped in the changing the outlook of Indian farmers. Along with the food crops, they came to know that how to grow the commercial crops, which earns more income, more profits to them. The farmers started considering market price of the produce as an important determinant of their production decision. Second one, new opportunities of employment. New opportunities of employment. Spread of railways and roadways. Spread of railways and roadways opened the new opportunities of economic and social growth. The spread of railways and I can say railways helped in the development of economic and social growth in our country India. Next one, control of famines. Control of famines. Rapid means of transport facilitated rapid movement of food grains. The the establishment of transportation system helped in the rapid movement of transport of food grains from one place to another. Okay, in the famine affected areas. So accordingly, famines were controlled. Suppose even though there is any famine here and there in India, so with the help of transportation we can send the food grains to the needy places, so we can control that famine. So in this way, famines were controlled during British rule. Next one, monetary system of exchange. Currency. Monetary system of exchange. There was a transition, change from barter system of exchange to monetary system of exchange. Earlier we have barter system. It was changed with what? Monetary, money. Growth of monetary system of exchange facilitated the division of labor. It helps in division of labor, specialization and large scale production. Last point, efficient system of administration. Efficient system of administration. The British government in India left a legacy. Legacy means what? What we learned from our ancestors or predecessors. Legacy means what? What we learned from our previous persons. So the British government in India left a legacy of an efficient administrative system in India. This served as a ready reference for our political and planners. I can say the police system, the courts, the police system, the court and the general administration, this was laid by the British government in India, and which helped our Indian political leaders and planners to quick reference of this one. And I can say many systems of British rule we adopted in our day-to-day administration. For example, the courts which are running today, the police system which is there, the collector system which is there, so the revenue system which is there, all this we copied from the British. So it helped in our Indian administration also, though it was started for their convenience. So students, today we have covered the following topics. Now one more topic itself, that is crucial economic challenges. Crucial economic challenges before the Indian economy. So what are the crucial economic challenges before our Indian economy? Listen carefully, students. Low level of agricultural productivity, infant industrial sector, lacks in infrastructure, poverty and inequalities. So low level of agricultural productivity. Why? Because due to we are depending on monsoon rains, no irrigation facilities, poor fertilizers, everything. So that during the colonial rule, Indian agriculture sector was used by the British to suit their own interest. Okay, consequently Indian agriculture sector experienced stagnancy. Low level of productivity was there, lack of investment, poor condition of landless farmers and peasants. Thus the immediate concern for India was to develop its agricultural sector and its productivity in India. Since some of the immediate reforms needed at the time of independence was abolition of Jamindar system. So soon after independence of India, we abolished the Jamindar system which was under practice during British rule. And need of land reforms, reducing inequality of land distribution or ownership and upliftment of the peasants. This reforms we have taken. Next one, infant industrial sector. At the time it was growing very slowly. Small industries were set up like textile, jute, etc. So India failed to develop a sound industrial sector, based during the colonial rule. In order to develop the industrial sector, India needed huge capital or investments. Infrastructure also we needed, human skills we needed, technical knowledge and modern technology also we needed. So which we are not having at that time. Further, due to stiff competition from the British manufacturers or British industries, India's domestic industries failed to sustain for a long time. Thus, developing small scale and large industries simultaneously was the main concern for India to develop its industrial sector in India after independence. Moreover, we need to increase the share of industrial sector to the India's GDP, which was one of the important economic challenges for India. Now, lack in infrastructure. Although there was a significant change in the infrastructure development in the country, but this was not sufficient to improve the performance of the agriculture and industrial sector. I mean, these infrastructure facilities have not sufficiently helped in the development of agriculture and industrial sector in India. Also, there was a need to upgrade the existing infrastructure and to modernize the infrastructure to enhance the efficiency and effectiveness. Hence, we give top priority to infrastructure also after independence. Poverty and inequalities. India was trapped in the vicious cycle of poverty and inequality. Our country comes under the trap of vicious, which never ends, vicious cycle of poverty and inequality. The colonial rule drained all our natural resources, mineral resources, etc. to their country. They made wealth from our India's resources. Consequently, majority of India's population was poverty trodden or under poverty. This further exaggerated the economic inequalities across the country. So this is the crucial economic challenges before Indian economy, soon after the independence or on the eve of independence. So students, we have covered all the topics which are written on the backside in the blackboard. This is the end of our today's video. We will come up with some more topics of the same chapter in the coming video. Till then, take care.